So, because I'm terrible at planning things and I'm new to this whole YouTube thing, I decided to go off list and review a New Year's episode of a TV show instead of a movie I should be reviewing because, well, it's the New Year's. I didn't do this for Christmas because I didn't think to do it on Christmas. It got a little nuts right around the holidays, as it does for many people. Kudos to anyone who can stay on track perfectly because I want to be you someday. Um, so, hello and welcome to Memento Argentum, where remembering the silver screen is a requirement, not a request. I am your host, E. Lynn, and let's get started, shall we? Ellery Queen is the name of a mystery author in the same vein as Rex Stout, who penned Nero Wolfe, the series based off of Nero Wolfe, um, or another example, Jonathan Gash, who made the series Lovejoy. Many people would recognize that one from the TV series starring Ian McShane. The Nero Wolfe series that they came out with, well, there have been actually a few, but the one that many people in the younger generations would recognize, it came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, I believe. Ellery Queen, as an author, shares more in common with Carolyn Keene, however, who is the author of Nancy Drew, because there isn't just one person writing the series. The series was actually originally written by Frederick Dene and Manfred Bennington Lee, who later passed it to others to keep up with their work. Now, I apologize if I completely mispronounced those names. I made an attempt and hopefully it wasn't too far off. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, in 1975, they made a TV series based off of it, starring Jim Hutton as Ellery Queen. Yes, the authors made the main character have the same name as their pseudonym, and David Wayne as his father, Inspector Queen. Now, Ellery in the show is an author of murder mysteries and helps out his father with solving crimes when they're a little too unusual for the police to be able to figure it out on their own. These books came out during the period where those types of novels were very popular, so it's not unusual to see that pop up here. The chemistry between Jim Hutton and David Wayne makes the series because they just play off of each other so perfectly, you can buy that they're related, even though it looks like there's a foot and a half difference between father and son. Because David Wayne is much shorter, or was much shorter than Jim Hutton. It was a fairly light show for the most part, but it was very well acted. As I said before, Ellery and his father were played perfectly. Many of the supporting cast that showed up later in the series was played with that same sort of casual grace that you look for in a TV show. It wasn't very long. It was only 22 episodes. And I have to say, Jim Hutton in particular was a very good choice for Ellery because he played him bumbling, but like that bumbling genius, which worked really well for the show. It kept it light, like comedic light, instead of letting it get dragged down with the impact of all the murders that happened all the time. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if many people didn't recognize his name, but they did recognize his son's name, his actual real life son, Timothy Hutton, who has been in quite a bit, including a mystery series that I referenced earlier, Nero Wolfe, where he played Archie Goodwin. And he played that with the same sort of cavalier attitude that his dad kind of has here, only his dad's more bumbling. This cast for the episode that I'm going to be talking about is quite solid. I mean, holy cow, Joan Collins is in this. This show basically has the who's who for the industry at this time. It is amazing to see some of these episodes and to see some of these actors just show up. It's just, it makes it like a time capsule for the people who love to watch these types of shows and look for those good little moments of, oh my gosh, I forgot about this actor that existed before. In any case, I've rattled on long enough about Ellery Queen. The episode in question, the one that we're talking about, is The Adventure of Auld Lang Syne. Takes place at a New Year's Eve party in a pretty fancy hotel in 1946, going on 1947. It was technically the second episode, but the pilot of the series was basically a movie. So I don't know if that should necessarily count so much as it just being a pilot and this is the first episode of the series as a whole. Because even the pilot has a completely different theme song from the TV series. The rest of the series has a very different theme song than the opening for the pilot. And I love the opening to the TV series because it's got that jazzy sort of, it's the good music that you look for in a theme song. But then again, 70s was rife with TV shows with good theme songs. So in any case, Auld Lang Syne, a murder most foul happens in a phone booth during a New Year's Eve party, and it's up to the inspector and his son to figure out who did it. The interesting thing about this show is the way that they portrayed the detective work. Because you get to see all of the various hints, as most shows do for detective shows. Especially, for example, if anyone watches the animated series Case Closed. They show all of the information and then at the very end they reveal it, right? In this one, right before the reveal happens, Ellery will turn to the camera and will go, "I've figured it out. Have you?" He will break the fourth wall and ask the viewers to join in with him on solving this mystery. It's kind of a little kid showish, but it's also really awesome. And I honestly cannot think of another show that did this. If anyone thinks of one that did, let me know in the comments. I won't judge. Hey, there are a lot of shows out there. I can't keep track of them all. I don't know anyone who could, but it's a really good show. The one of the few ones that really broke the fourth wall in a different way, I feel like, was Columbo, where it does pull the audience in, and it still kind of feels almost like it's breaking the fourth wall because you get to see the murderer in Columbo, and you get to see how they're trying to subtly keep themselves from getting caught, and it's up to Columbo to figure out how they did it and bring it all together. But in any case, The Adventure of Auld Lang Syne. It is a really well done episode. It really gets into the spirit of New Year's. You get to see the characters being their most themselves. For a second episode, it is solid as a rock. I really have to hand it to him. It was a super fun episode to watch and rewatch because I've seen it a couple of times now. But yeah, so if anyone can think of anything, if you want me to continue watching this series, I can do that. I am going to get the reviews that I've already got planned up before I continue this. The only reason I honestly interjected with this review is because it was specifically to do with New Year's. That is the only reason that I interjected. Otherwise, I would have kept up with the reviews. In fact, I'm going to be putting up another 3 reviews after I'm done with this one. So if you've got a request to make, don't be afraid to ask. I will try and fulfill it. If I can't get a hold of it, I will let you know in the comments. That's all I can say. So the next review, and I'm not lying this time, unlike the previous review where I said it was The Changeling, this one. Join me next time for The Changeling. Again, I am E.E. Lynn. Until next time, adieu.